What's happening, everybody? We're here on the set of Zildjian Live Season 2. I'm here with a man that really doesn't need any introduction. You guys know him as the GOAT, the legend. He's the blueprint that so many of us have followed, man. The one and only Mr. Dennis Chambers.
Thank you very much.
Dennis, it's so cool to have you here today, man. Really, really thankful to have you as part of this thing and to be able to watch you and your inspiration to so many of us, man. We just appreciate you and love you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I said there before earlier. I was like, man, if I'd known you weren't going to be playing, it'd be a different turnout for me. But somehow I've been bamboozled,
Don't say that.
hoodwinked.
Don't say that.
Been run amok.
Hey, we'll get a chance to get up and hang and play a little bit back at the crib for sure. For sure. Dennis, I just had a couple things I want to talk to you about. One thing for sure is, you have been so successful being able to do what you love for so long. Like your career is just one that spans such long periods of time, and you're still working. How are you able to do it at the level that you do it for all this time? I mean, your playing is one thing for sure, because that's incredible. It's timeless, but it's got to be more than just that.
Well, I I do have a. Let's start with this.
Yeah.
I'm a very musical player. At least I like to think I am.
Yeah.
And my thing never started with a lot of chops,
Mm.
although I have them.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my focus. My focus was when I walk on the bandstand or when I walk into the studio, how do we make it work?
Mm.
It's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about us. And if you're a reader, if the first thing you notice, it says, when you get a chart, it says drums. It don't say Steve Gadd. It don't say whoever, Vinny Colaiuta,
Yeah.
Dave Weckl, there's no names tied to it. It says
Yeah.
drums.
Yeah.
Meaning that whoever can hit this thing or make it feel good,
Mm-hmm.
he's the one that's hired.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be that. And that's something I learned from like Steve Gadd
Mm.
and Steve Jordan at a very young age. Steve is, Jordan. Steve Jordan is one of the most underrated drummers I could think of. And I've heard that guy play on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And, Steve Jordan, Steve Gadd, and Peter Erskine.
Yeah.
It's like they're chameleons
Yeah.
when it comes to playing music. You
Mhm.
can drop them in anything.
Yeah.
If you close your eyes, like if they play reggae, especially,
Yeah.
Jordan or Gadd, it's like all of a sudden you close your eyes and you see a guy back there, with dreadlocks,
Yeah.
who's killing it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I'm playing with, like somebody like John McLaughlin
Mm-hmm.
or John Schofield or Kevin Eubanks, somebody that want a little bit more drums, then okay, then I'll add more
You can
drums.
give it to him. Yeah.
But I don't try to turn it into, like the drum show.
Yeah.
It should never be about the drum show.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
And, I can't say a lot of the younger guys. I can say some of the young guys, they bring people in. They have their own little cheering section. And everybody's trying to figure out, or, they got to do something special. And then you hear like, ooh, oh,
Yeah.
like,
You hear the wolf pack.
yeah.
Oh.
And as you know, in D.C., Baltimore, D.C. area,
Yeah.
I used to go to these little drum things
Mm-hmm.
where guys would like try to out chop each other, and they get together, they play, and it's some phenomenal chops coming out of them.
Yeah.
But somehow they get confused with this is music,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's not music,
Mhm, mhm.
And something I told Tony Royster a long time ago. Like, you can have all the chops in the world, and you can think you think you could be the greatest drummer in the world, but if your phone is not ringing, that should tell you something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or if you get the gig and you get fired before the tour start,
That should let
that
you know
should tell
something.
you something.
Yeah, for sure.
And for me, it's like I've never been fired off of any gig. All the gigs I've had, never been fired off
Mm-hmm.
of. It was either the band broke up or, people lose interest and do other things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, I think that's the reason why my phone always rings. And also keeping a good attitude. That's another important thing.
That's really important.
Don't walk on the, in the room and think you're the greatest and, you do drum solos and then you just throw your drumsticks in the air and all that stuff. And
I've seen that before.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And, because you never know who's in that room watching that.
Very true.
And back when I was with P Funk, I've always said to everybody in the band, like, man, you don't know who's in this building. So you go out there and just kick some butt, man.
Yeah.
Play the best that you could play it.
Yeah.
And you can't ask for no more than that.
Yeah.
Just be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Play the music the best way you can and see what happens.
It's crazy, man. I remember I was talking to Marcus Gilmore earlier today. We were talking about you. And I had this old video you playing with P-Funk where you had a percussion set up on your left-hand side.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, you were grooving your tail off and playing the percussion stuff. I mean, everything was locked and so solid together, man. It was incredible to see you in that vein. And then also to see you, I got a chance to see you play many times with a bunch of different people. And every time I seen you play, you have that same chameleon ability to fit the music, whatever it is. And then when it's time for you to shine or be expressive, then you're able to do that extremely well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, man.
Well, even when I take solos, I always try to think musical
Yeah.
as possible.
Yeah.
Not just back there playing a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I tell you the truth, like when I used to practice, or should I say, one of the reasons why I don't practice because I can't stand listening to myself.
Wow.
I can't stand listening to me.
Well, I can.
I had a drum kit set up. Pearl sent me a brand new Crystal Beat drum kit, yellow.
Wow.
And that kit sit there for a year and a half in my living room.
Wow.
And I would get up, my wife's at work. I would get up and walk down the long hallway and take the left, and the drum. I see the kid sit there, and I stand there and look at it for a minute. Then I go make some coffee, come back, take another look at it, and I could hear the drums, because I used to call my friends up and ask them to come over and play it, so I could hear what they sound like.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even want to touch them.
Wow.
And so, for a year and a half or something like that, didn't play drums at all.
Wow.
And I've always had this theory. It's like, your mind is like a computer. What you put in it is what comes out of it.
So true.
And the same thing with bicycles. Like if you're not to ride a bike, you're not to ride a bike. You don't have to practice that.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you sit and play drums, or practice, you try to play stuff that you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or try to wrap your brain around some stuff that you heard that capture your ear to do certain things, or that inspire you to do
Right.
certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always been my, I shouldn't say problem, but it's always been my interest.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would hear like Billy Cobham, Jack DeJohnette, Tony Williams, Lenny White, Gadd, Jordan, David Cabaldi,
Ooh, yeah.
Clyde Stubblefield, Zigaboo,
Yeah.
all the drummers before me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would sit there just, like put records on, record after record after record after record, and just, try to capture things.
Yeah.
And even right to this day, like I got like tons and tons of bootleg of my Vishnu,
Whew, yeah,
and I put the stuff on. I'm going like, this stuff is from another planet,
it is.
because nobody played like that before them.
No.
And when Bill, I remember seeing them actually, and it sounded like somebody threw in a steak between two lions,
Yeah.
and that's the way Billy sounded
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't sleep for 48 hours because every later I got my eyes closed, and I have to go to school the next day.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing this stuff, and I'm rolling over and hearing it. Couldn't play any of it at the time.
Yeah.
But I said I was gonna learn. I was gonna do it if I die.
Wow.
And that was my whole thing about learning things. I would just try to do it or die, not to be better than the guy.
Yeah.
It was just once I learned what that is, and then I try to make some kind of musical sense out of it and say like, if I were to do that, what would I do?
Yeah.
And then that's when things get interesting.
Yeah. It's a different day now because I think like what you're referring to, the things that you're playing and the things you're learning requires your imagination.
Yeah.
To be able to pull those things off, to really internalize it and make it you.
Yeah.
Now it's crazy because we have so many ways to watch or to view, and people are taking things verbatim.
Yeah.
And not necessarily making it their own thing.
Yeah, that's sad. I mean, this is like 2020.
Yeah.
And music has been knocked back. Well, before disco rolled around, music was just out there,
Mm.
and everybody was experimenting with different things. Like if you take Jimi Hendrix for example,
Yeah.
who had a jazz drummer,
Mm-hmm.
and then he had a bass player that played guitar, and Jimmy hired him because he liked his hairstyle,
Right. Right.
and yet they became one of the greatest rock bands. And then all of a sudden, when Buddy Miles came in, went out the door, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember Mitch used to call him the cement maker. Or no, the cement mixer.
The cement
what he called- that's what he called Buddy.
Wow.
Because it was like when he hit a groove,
Oh yeah.
it's done.
That's crazy.
There's the foundation.
That's a great name. The
Yeah.
cement mixer. Okay.
And then you take Cream, you have Eric
Yeah.
Clapton, who was a blues guitarist,
Mm-hmm.
Ginger Baker, jazz drummer,
Yeah.
and Jack Bruce. Did I say Eric Clapton? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So Jack Bruce is a jazz bass player.
Mm-hmm.
You put that together, and that became one of the greatest rock bands. But that was okay
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
and it was almost blasphemous to try to sound like somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you take one company. When Motown rolled in, and Stax Recording rolled in, everybody was spellbound.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had this to deal with back then too.
Yeah. Yeah.
This changed a lot of history that a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
Because when I was born in '59,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember coming through the '60s, and radio stations were AM, not FM.
Wow. Okay.
And there was a couple of stations on FM,
Mm-hmm.
and they had the white channel and they had the black channel.
Wow. That's crazy.
And on the black channel, they had you hear like Miles Davis,
Mm-hmm.
James Brown, Aretha Franklin, the Motown, Stax,
Yeah.
all this stuff. So that means your attention span was like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here we are, 2020, and your attention span is like this.
Yeah.
How could that happen? How could that happen?
It's crazy.
But the British invasion. You
Yeah.
know, when they, I got this videotape of the legends themselves who talk about those times themselves.
Wow.
And when the Beatles came over, somebody asked them right before they got on the plane, and says, "When you go to America, what are the things you want to do when you get to America?" One of them named they wanted to see Chuck Berry. They wanted to meet Chuck
Of course.
Berry,
Yeah.
Little Richard, Fats Domino.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
They want to meet Muhammad Ali and a few other guys. And then they said, and they want to go to Graceland to see Elvis.
Elvis, okay.
And, well, we never saw that over here.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because, over here, since we were dealing with the silliness of the skin
Yeah.
or the ignorance of the skin,
Yeah.
they didn't want white America to hear their heroes idolize black people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like when the Beatles, we love you, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's all Little Richard.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's right in your backyard the whole time.
What a time.
And I don't know if you remember, probably not, but there was a lady named Dee Dee Warwick. And she had a song called Foolish Fool.
No, don't remember.
Yeah, Foolish Fool. And they had this big drum sound, and it grooved like nobody's business.
Wow.
And that's where Bonham
Nice.
got his whole thing from there.
Uh-huh.
Guess who the drummer was?
Who?
Bernard Purdy.
Oh, come on, Bernard.
Yeah.
Nice.
And when Bernard he was a star in London or in Britain.
Wow.
Everybody wanted him over there.
Yeah.
To do something, because he was just a great recording drummer who had like great ideas.
Yeah.
And sometimes he had to be inspired to pull out those great ideas. But again,
Yeah.
this Bernard Purdy's right. Bernard Purdy lives in he came from Maryland.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he came from Elkridge, Maryland.
Okay. I know what that is. Elkridge, I've heard of it.
Yeah, so I'm standing at the NAMM show. We're talking about clubs that we grew up playing in. And I started naming some clubs in Baltimore, like the Closet, whatever. He says, oh, yeah, I remember them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, how did you remember them? He says, fool, don't you know? Like, don't I know what? He said, I'm from Maryland.
Man, that's crazy.
And I refused to believe it.
That's crazy.
Because I thought he was from, like, Philly.
Yeah, yeah.
And sure enough, he got the key to Maryland one time, and I went down to see it.
Wow.
And that's when I believed he was actually from Maryland.
Yeah. So dope. So dope.
Because, it's like people are right in your back door, and you never knew.
Didn't know. Yeah.
And they didn't want you to know.
Yeah. Crazy times, man. Crazy.
And a lot of people don't know, like Eric Clapton, John McLaughlin, Jeff Beck, especially Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page.
Mm-hmm.
They learned how to play guitar by listening to blues.
Wow.
Because back in them days, when they learned, it was London was getting bombed out by Germany. So they only had one or two radio stations. Those were the BBCs.
Yeah.
And at a certain time of night, they would pipe in the blues.
Wow.
And these guys would sit there and strum a broom.
Wow.
John McLaughlin himself told me
you
that. Jeff Beck told me that's how he learned.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And even Jimi Hendrix, who was living in Seattle at the time, but he learned how to play guitar by strumming a broom, by playing the blues.
Wow.
So when they finally got a guitar, the first interest was to try to play the blues.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Crazy.
But they don't want you to know that.
No. These are things that you're not going to know.
Yeah.
You're not going to know.
I remember playing with Maceo and Bootsy and those guys. They would tell me stories about James, and I can't remember the name of the TV show. And James had a big hit back in them days. So he was on the show. The Rolling Stones were on the show. And the Rolling Stones was off to the side of the stage watching them. And James tore the house down.
I remember this.
He said, if you're gonna follow this, if you're gonna follow me, I'm gonna turn up the fire a little bit.
Yeah.
And when he walked off the stage, he looked at Mick and says, "Yeah, follow that."
That's crazy.
So back in them days, Mick used to just stand there and play tambourine.
Yeah.
And sing. Or should I? Let me put this. They locked themselves in the dressing room. For what Boot or maybe Maceo told me. They locked themselves into the dressing room, and they delayed their show an hour, just to
To
get the
let it
audience to
cool
come. Yeah.
down. Oh, that's crazy.
And when they came out, Mick standing there singing. I could hear the song, but I can't remember the title. And then he just not accidentally, he just figured he'd do something because James was out there doing all the
Yeah,
moves.
yeah, yeah.
So he jumps up and he kicks his legs out, but the legs look weird, And people went nuts. And he was like,
Wow.
he's shocked. He goes like, wow, that
It
got
worked.
over.
Yeah, yeah.
So then he started moving more.
Wow.
But that was all because of James Brown.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Dennis, I'm gonna tell you, I got a chance to do the Zildjian Live last year, and it was such an incredible roster of cast that came through and played. I mean, Will Kennedy, Omar Hakeem, Thomas Pridgeon, Larnell Lewis, Nikki Glaspie,
Yeah.
Kaz Rodriguez, myself. It was fantastic, but the vibe was so it was so dope being able to see everybody and watch everybody play, and we were like, man, this to us feels like what like Zildjian Day in London felt like.
Yeah.
We were referencing how it was when we first saw the videotapes of you. Who else? Simon Phillips was there, Treelock Gertrude,
Yeah.
and was it Greg Bissonette, I want to say?
Yeah.
So we were talking about like this has to feel like that. The way that felt back then. All you guys there for the same reason, watching each other play, celebrating each other, like just positive, good vibes. So I want to talk about, I just got a chance to watch you, run through your tune. It's kind of crazy hearing the elements that Sput put together for you. Can you talk a little bit about the experience here so far?
Well, yeah, when I first got the mix, finally, because Spud was sending the mixes, and I was never getting them.
Oh,
Kind of
wow.
found out he was sending them to the wrong number.
Oh, nice.
And then when I finally got it, I sit there and listen to it, and I was a little concerned at first, and the concern was I didn't want to go back into playing old cliches.
I feel you.
But however,
Mm-hmm.
with his arrangement on it,
Mm-hmm.
it sounded dope.
Nice.
And so that inspired me to go ahead and just figure these things out.
Yeah. Well, you figured it out. I was sitting there just in the control room, just listening, man, and hearing you play those grooves, hearing you play those figures. I mean, this stuff is iconic, bro. Seriously, like you really have been able to inspire not just drummers, but a lot of musicians, man, with the things that you're playing, the feel that you bring to the music. It's really special, man. Really special. And I know, like I said,
Thank you.
Zildjian is definitely honored to have you here as part of the roster, and we all are honored to be able to just be here to check it out, man.
Well, thank
Seriously.
you. I like I was saying earlier, after yesterday's incident, I didn't think I was going to make it,
Yeah,
but I'm here.
Yeah.
My body is working, so
it's working well.
yeah.
Fantastic. Dennis, we appreciate you so much, man, taking the time for this interview. Thanks for being here with us. Zildjian Live Season 2 is upon us. Dennis Chambers, man. The legend. The GOAT.
The goat.
Appreciate you, man, for real.
Same.
Yes, sir. All day.